Hello and welcome to our YouTube PowerPoint presentation. We chose the title Identity, Culture and Equality in Relation to Mental Health. This is Study Skills for Health and Social Care, Foundation Year 2025-26. The date is 25th of November 2025. On behalf of myself and all the members in this group, which contributed into creating this video, I'm obligated to declare that this assignment is all our own work. We have acknowledged all materials used from published or unpublished works of other people, and all references have been duly cited. My name is Dobre, and now we can proceed to our first slide, which is introduction to our topic of choice. So introduction, this presentation will mainly explore and explain how culture, identity, and equality are deeply connected in society and how they influence and shape individuals from different social groups. Definition of inequality, basically, it's described as uneven distribution of income and more significantly of wealth. Inequality can be of many types, but more significantly, more vital for our presentation are economic inequality, social, racial, and gender-biased inequality. In other words, when we speak about inequality, not every person in society gets the same treatment when it comes to sharing of wealth, income, social power, and influence. Culture is the shared everyday life of a community, their beliefs, routines, ways of doing things that people learn from another and how they pass on the future generations. Cultures is often defined also as a way of life, how people, including their values, beliefs, norms, and symbols, and language they use, and how they pass it on to their next generations. Basically, it's shortly, it's a shared beliefs of a group's values and beliefs. According to Stuart Hall's definition of identity, he sees it as something that's always being shaped or reshaped over again, and basically it never reaches a final form and develops through the ways people are represented in society. On this next slide, I will be speaking about cultural and identity factors shaping mental health. I will mention some of the most important here, like stigma. Stigma in society shapes when and how people seek help. Like in some cultures, mental health issues can be presented as personal weaknesses or a source of a family shame. So it influences individuals how they approach into seeking help and when and where to seek it. The importance of family, faith, and community also very key factors here when it comes to mental health patients. Strong community matters a great deal because and family values, strong family values can be very protective and helpful with coping and resilience, which matters a great deal to those who need it the most when they need help, those mental patients, and when they're supported by their society and they have a strong family connections, that matters a great deal for them. Also, the impact of our society, different layers of society, how it's structured, and also the rich history of our society we as people have also matters. Like I'm going to mention some of the most important, like racism, colonialism, discrimination are huge factors, how they influence those people, those mental health patients, and they can create like huge chronic stress, and they can make those barriers to care, ask for help, and getting help even bigger than it should be, and the whole helping those that process making even harder. Also, strong cultural identity equals higher well-being. So culture extends beyond ethnicity. Uh, Another key factor and very important to mention here is belonging to multiple groups on one hand, and being in minority on the other hand. There is a huge difference between these groups or individuals, because people, when they're supported by their community groups, they end up with better mental and physical health, opposed to the minorities who are felt like isolated, and they experience higher anxiety, stress, and depression.
Finish.
Hi, my name's Demi, and on the next slide, I'm going to be talking about gender inequality and cultural norms. Gender inequality and culture have a complex and multi-faced relationship, constantly interacting and influencing each other. I talk about the gender wage gap, which women's increasing participation in the labour market was a major trend in the second half of the 20th century. At the same time, women's educational levels caught up with those of men. They even overtook them on average in nearly all advanced countries, and women gained access to a greater number of occupations favoured by the technology change. Since the 1970s, the effects of what Goldin describes as a quiet revolution have changed not only women's expectations about their careers, but wages. On the next slide, I'm going to talk about how identity and cultural influence psychological well-being. Our cultural identity is made of a unique combination of things, including our religion, the language we speak, and our race and ethnicity. Some examples are cultural beliefs about health and illness, social identity and belonging, conversely, discrimination and marginalisation. Cultural beliefs about health and illness, they influence psychological well-being by shaping health behaviours, determine perceptions of symptoms, and guiding healthcare seeking behaviours. For example, cultural norms around diet and exercise directly impact physical health. Cultural attitudes toward medical interventions and adherence to treatment plans can significantly influence health outcomes.
2 minutes.
Jadon.
Hi, my name is Aderonke. I'm on the next slide. I'm talking about the role of faith-based organizations in promoting positive mental health in the UK. And the role of the faith organization are more than a place of worship, and their places give hope, strength, and encouragement during hardship. They reduce pressure on NHS and the local government by providing a basic health facilities. And I have another point to say: the faith group also motivate their members to participate in voluntary activities, and they also have a place where the activities are taking place, and the group creates a hub where members can find the oncoming activities. And the other one, the faith group has advisors and advocates among the volunteers who can speak for the less privileged people in their community. And the faith groups are also play a major role by tackling the problem of mental health issues in their communities by providing food banks, shelters to the less privileged in their community. And also, it's just like a charity, let's call it a charity place, where people can provide warm clothes, like a house, and a faith-based will serve as a pillar in their local government, helping the needy in needy with basic needs, Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Sandra Dunay. Today I will talk about the cultural presence of mental illness in South Asian communities. In many South Asian families, mental health is still a private topic. People often feel shy and uncomfortable using words like depression or analysis. So many hide their feelings is not talking about more them. Because mental health is sensitive, some express emotional struggles and physical symptoms, like a headache or stomach pain. This can make harder recognize the real problem and get proper help. Cultural and religious beliefs also shape how people understand mental illness. Some families may see it's bad luck or spiritual, they feel shy. Um, Families plays a very important role. Support from loved ones can make big difference. But at the same time, some people avoid asking for help because they fear bringing shame to family or community. For the future, these are changing younger generation more open some mental health to stress and against parents who understand issues the better. Stigma is still present, but awareness is growing. By understanding this cultural perspective, we can help more to people feel safe to seek support. So the next slide, I talking about the role of control and self-identity in mental health outcomes. Stigma leads people to hide symptoms. Mental health problems often speak issues. Some families choose spiritual the first family preserve can stop people from seeking help. Social media influence among young people. Social identity who are in social culture, gender, age. Some groups face unfair less. Best.
Hi, my name is Simona, and on this slide I will be talking about individuals accessing mental health services in the UK. Recent NHS figures published that over 3 million people were in contact with mental health services in 2023 to 2024, in comparison to 2 million in 2018 to 2019. This conveys that the NHS have improved in supporting individuals who are in need of mental health services, such as GPs, specialised inpatient care, community mental health teams and helplines, which concludes to everyone getting the correct support they need. However, long waits from referrals to receiving treatments have been a significant problem for individuals accessing mental health services, as it's affecting people's ability to receive the care they need, and importantly when they need it, which can result in frustration and further negative impacts. In addition, my next slide is experiences of LGBTQ in the UK. Discrimination, homophobia, social isolation and rejection can harm the mental health of people in the LGBT group, as their sexuality, identity or gender can be judged and not welcomed in society, contributing to hate crime and putting the LGBTQ members at a risk of a strain on their mental health, which can result in depression, self-harm, suicidal thoughts and alcohol and drug abuse. Statistics shows that the LGBTQ are very likely to experience poor mental health. A report by Stonewall states that 44% of the LGBTQ have experienced suicidal thoughts due to discrimination. However, embracing being a part of the LGBTQ group can also have positive impacts as confidence, high self-esteem and self-acceptance, which convey a healthy well-being for the individuals.
Ska jobba med det här.
not going.
Yeah, it's not moving.
Let's call someone.
Hi, my name is Levi, and today we're talking about social identities and marginalised groups. Social identities are aspects of people's self-concept that come from group memberships, while marginalised groups are social group excluded due to the disadvantage such as race, gender or disability. Social identities play a crucial role in shaping the experience of marginalised people who navigate their identities by asserting them in contrast to dominant norm or finding balance. What is the intersection of equality and culture? Intersectionality acknowledges that people are in multiple groups and that these groups interact with each other to share experiences. Cultural identities include age, development, lifestyle, gender identity, ethnicity, social location, family values, sex, orientation, religion, and spiritual and ability. Social identities are part of your self-concept derived from memberships in various social groups, such as race, gender, and religion. Marginalised groups are social groups that face systematic discrimination, disadvantage, and exclusion, which can impact their social and economic opportunities. Social identities form an individual sense of self based on the group memberships creating an us versus them dynamic. They can innate like race and gender, or acquired like a political affiliation or joining a sports team. Examples include race and gender and sexual orientation, religion or spiritual beliefs, systematic status, age and disability status. The intersection of inequality and culture involves how culture is used to create, sustain and challenge disparities in a society, and how existing social inequalities in turn shape cultural production and consummation. This dynamic relationship means culture is not a neutral backdrop. It acts as both an explanatory factor for inequality and a site where social hierarchies of class, race and gender are reproduced. Key areas of intersection, cultural capital, coined by sociological Bourdieu, I can't pronounce that, sorry. Coined by sociologist Pierre Bourdieu, this concept highlights how familiarity with legitimate, typical elite culture serves as a resource. Elite pass on specific tastes, habits and knowledge to their children, which are then rewarded by institutes like education, elite workplaces, effectively limiting opportunities for those from less privileged backgrounds. So high culture versus popular culture. Societies are often drawn symbolic boundaries between, so high culture, like sexual opera, fine art, classical music, they're all associated with elite groups and pop culture. Intersexuality, this framework developed by Kim Crenshaw, who I have also put in the references from the page, emphasises the different forms of inequality such as race, sexism and classism do not operate in isolation, but they intersect and compound each other to create a new experience of oppression and privilege. Thank you.
So in conclusion, on the last slide, we can summarize what we already explored and discussed about. What can we say in this summary? Like, cultural norms shape how people understand distress, express symptoms, and decide whether to seek professional help or not. Identity factors, including race, gender, sexuality, affects a lot the stress exposure and coping, and also influence behavior and help seeking. Stigma and discrimination remain major barriers for effective cultural appropriate mental health support. Structural inequalities such as poverty, racism, and exclusion, we also saw that they're very disproportionate, create disproportionate mental health risk and unequal access to care for all people. So basically, improving mental health equity requires structural change and culturally responsive services. In conclusion, at the end, I can only say that all these different dynamics influence each professions, also such as doctors or like they may face diagnostic challenges. Nurses may encounter mistrust. Social workers can address some have to address some systematic barriers in order to include better help. More or less, social workers they're directly affected because they work at the intersection of health and social system, and structural inequalities mean that they are often trying to secure housing, benefits, community support for patients who face discrimination, etc. So cultural norms and identity factors can shape how openly someone shares their needs and get their needs. On the other hand, care assistants feel the impact into day-to-day interactions, and they may support patients who communicate distress differently due to cultural backgrounds or who we had negative experience with services. Bias also on unequal treatment in the wider system can increase patients' anxiety, resistance, making routine harder. So we've basically explained how inequality, culture, and identity relates to mental health patients and how they influence social care workers and care assistants. Here we're going to end our presentation with the next two slides with our references we used.